Hey, everybody, Lisa Copeland here. I'm going to wait a couple minutes. We're going live right now on my Rise and Roar Mastermind, and I've just changed over the platform. You know, they call it platforming when you've got a show. We were doing them on Zoom, and we had about 300 people that were signed up to come every week. And I just felt like that wasn't a big enough audience, and sometimes people cannot watch this live at 12 noon. So we're broadcasting on many platforms, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and super excited about what we do. And so if you don't know me and don't follow me, I am the founder of the Lioness Real Estate Group. And we are a group of agents. I've got almost 900 agents on my real estate team, brokered through eXp Realty. And I really created this 30-minute mastermind. Many times I have guests. I've got really amazing guests that come over. And sometimes I just do it myself because I like to kind of freestyle it. And so I'm doing it myself today because I wanted to talk about something that's really important to me. And I'm going to turn on my comments over here. I want to talk about something that's really important to me. So about 6 weeks ago, I was one of the keynote speakers for Elaine Cardone's 10X Ladies. That would have been my third or fourth appearance at 10X Ladies. And of course, it's just my absolute favorite conference of the year. And you know, I've got to meet a lot of really amazing women through the 10X Ladies. You know, this year we had Riley Gaines, who I just loved her story, and we had Julian Michaels, and of course Elena and Erica Donnell. Her husband's running for governor of Florida. My friend Natalie Dawson, of course Elena Cardone. You cannot have a 10X Ladies event without the queen herself. You know, and I always walk away better for these events. I walk away because I learn more, I meet great connections, I meet great people, and I always walk away inspired. So this year, you know, I mean, I always do things around the Lioness. If you guys have not figured that out yet, my license plate, it even says Lioness. And I've got some big things that'll be launching January 1 around the Lioness brand. But for today, I'm going to talk about the speech that I gave at 10X Ladies, because it's just so interesting to me. And know this. So today we're going to talk about build a movement, build an empire. And that was my keynote speech way before the recent events of the last couple of weeks around movements. And I started talking about building movements about 4 years ago. And I was going to author a book. In fact, it's quite a bit of it's written already, and it was called Build a Movement, Build an Empire. And it was all around companies and businesses that have built movements. And they didn't necessarily have the greatest product on the planet, but they had the greatest fans on the planet. They had the greatest clients on the planet. So it wouldn't matter whatever they came out with, whatever the price was, whatever that looks like. It didn't matter. They would get behind the product. They would get behind the launch. And why does that matter to a business? You know, and I'm going to refer to my notes a little bit here from my speech, but you know, every great empire, every fortune, and every legacy started the same way. One person saw a better future and refused to settle for anything less. And you know, we think about that with you know, love me or hate me for this, you know, Charlie Kirk. You know, he saw a better way. He saw that there needed to be a turning point in our country. And so, you know, 14 years ago, he had found a turning point. But for me, the vision's crystal clear. And it's women leading, women earning, and women owning the power in industries that have been shut out to us for decades. And I learned quickly that if you want to change the game, you don't ask for permission, you build a movement. Now think about what I'm saying to you. Ladies especially, but hey, this is for my guys out here too. I've got a lot of guys that follow me. If you want to change the game, you don't ask for permission, okay? You need to get these people behind you. You need to build these raving fans. And let me tell you, when you build a movement, you build enemies too. Don't kid yourself. I've lived this life. When I stepped into the auto industry, an industry known for high pressure sales, low trust, in an old boys club, you know, I thought at that point, not on my watch. You know, I wanted a dealership where women were not just tolerated, but they were running the show. Minorities and millennials were just filling quotas. They were valued for their brilliance. And the most powerful buyer in the world was women. And they were respected and they were celebrated. We didn't sell cars. We empowered women to enjoy buying them. And so I want you to think about what I'm saying when you think about your business. Who are your people? Who are your clients? Who are the people that are going to resonate with you? I knew women would resonate with me, right? I'm a woman. Why wouldn't they? And, when they walked into a car dealership back then, they didn't see a lot of women unless they were, behind the desk, meaning like the receptionist desk, or they were working in the accounting office or whatever. Now, there's a few one-offs. There's some great dealerships that I know about and do business with. In fact, my good friends, Jim DeMeo and Chris Martinez, ran a wonderful dealership, Charles Vaughn Toyota, and they were very pro-women, right? That's one I think of off the top of my head. But why was it important for us to build this? We had a new car, the Fiat brand. It was coming out. No one knew about it, right? We had to have something to talk about than just the car. So we really started talking about the movement. And the auto industry is and always will be the economic engine of the U.S. economy. And what I wanted that engine firing for was her. I wanted that female consumer valued. So guys, like, I would go out and I would talk more about women consumers than I talked about the car itself. When I was out trying to build alliances, when I was out trying to hire people, and when we're out trying to sell cars. And while creating a brand new workforce that could change the buying experience forever, right? And I believe it did. There might be people out there that disagree with me, but I had an incredible sales team that was at all times at least 50% female. I never forgot the first time a woman walked in alone, bracing for battle, and she'd been ignored at every other dealership in town. Not only did she walk in and buy a car from us, but she walked out with more confidence. And you can see that on people, in their countenance. You can see it, right? And so, I know that that's the kind of business that people that follow me want to build. People that are in my organization. I've got almost 900 real estate agents. Thank you, God. In my real estate organization at eXp Realty, and I value every single one of them. And I hope what I can bring to them is something that's different. I can bring the fact that I'm going to show you how to build a sustainable business. So, 5 years ago, I carried that same conviction into real estate. And that's when my paths crossed with Elena Cardone, game changer. A woman whose vision for women, family, and empire building matched mine beat for beat. I actually knew Grant. I had met Grant through the automotive industry. He had walked into my dealership and wanted to talk to, at that time, who was my boss. And this was before I was the dealer principal. And my boss didn't want to meet with him. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you this day. It was so long ago, 15 years ago. But anyways, I took the meeting. And I'll tell you, something I tell people all the time, take the meeting, man, take the meeting. Like, I think about how my life would be different today if I had not met Grant Cardone. Call me a sucker. You can call me anything you want to, but my life would be different today if I had not met Grant Cardone. Not as much from the standpoint of, I didn't know it then. Loved his training, loved Cardone U. We used it for our sales training. I've always been a big fan, but it was what would happen later because of that meeting with Grant Cardone. What would happen later is that 5.5 years ago, I would come to eXp Realty. My dear friend, Haas Pratt, many of you guys know Haas if you follow me, that my dear friend Haas Pratt literally said to me that day in the office, he said, Grant Cardone, Elena Cardone. I didn't know Elena at the time. I said, yeah, I know Grant pretty well. He said, let's manifest bringing Grant Cardone over into our organization. Now, that was the first day I signed up with eXp. Y'all, I hadn't even sold a house. I didn't know what it was to build an organization. I just knew I liked Haas Pratt and Tarek El Moussa so much that I didn't even know the company I signed up for when I turned my license over. It was during the height of COVID. I drove to Dallas. I had this meeting. I literally called Haas Pratt when I left our 4-hour meeting in Dallas, and I said, "What's the name of the company that has my real estate license down?" He's like, "eXp Realty." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Because see, I didn't care. I liked the movement that Haas and Tarek were building. Right, this movement that they were going to help real estate agents come in and crush it and be able to leverage influencers. That was our business model at the time. Tarek was famous, still is, HGTV. Love Tarek and love Haas even more. But, I was learning the power of leverage at that point, but I always still had it in my mind, build a movement, build an empire. And that's what we were able to do when we partnered with Elena Cardone. Because you think about some of the great movements, one of the great movements, the greatest movement, I would say, I'm a little biased, of course, but the movement is 10X. You think about what my friend Grant Cardone has done with 10X, and I call it the 10X empire. He started out as a sales training guy. That's when I met him. He didn't have Cardone Capital. He didn't have Cardone Ventures. He didn't have anything. He hadn't even written the book 10X yet. What he has is a very successful sales organization that sold a couple $1 million a year to car dealers like myself. Okay. That's all he did. But from that, he built a movement. He found people that believed what he believed. And you know what? I'm not going to get ahead of myself. So that's it. Yeah, I don't want to get like, I feel like I'm not doing the keynote speech right now, right? So I'm trying to pull from pieces of it, and I promise you before we leave, I'm going to show you how to build your own movement. But I think certain really important pieces from that keynote speech was that movements don't happen by accident. They don't happen by luck. They're not magic. They're built intentionally. They're built strategically, and they're built relentlessly. And I think about Charlie Kirk, and again, I know not everybody believed in his movement, but millions of people will be brought to Christ because of his movement and his death. And those are people that identified with core beliefs of the movement. Well, I take that over to in the business sense of Grant Cardone. And I look at people that millions of people, he's got millions of followers now. And it's because they identify with the hustle. You're not going to have any hate in your heart. You've got hustle in your muscle and no hate in your heart. All of the things that are important to the 10X movement. And these are people that are just absolutely fierce, both in life and in business. The best associations I have from a business standpoint are my friends in the 10X community. And so, from all of that, and from building that 10X movement, me creating this with Elena Cardone, Tariq El Moussa, and Haas Pratt, Sharon Lecter, some incredible leaders that we have within our organization. I believe that we've built one of the strongest movements in the real estate industry. So every empire you've ever admired, okay, whether it's in business or in politics or in culture, was built on a foundation that could withstand storms, critics, and competition. Think about that, okay? You cannot put a movement out there and not have haters, not have storms, the stuff that happens, right? Not have critics. And of course, the minute you put out something great, everybody wants to copy it, right? That's what happens. And that's why, Elena and I built what we call the Lioness Code. And that's the 4 laws of building an empire, okay? So write these down, y'all. Write them down. Law number 1 is you've got to have belief. Okay. So when you're looking at your business, you're looking at your product, your service, your business, your company, your church, your belief system. Like number 1 law is belief. You can't build an empire on weak conviction. People don't follow what you sell. They follow what you stand for. Apple doesn't just sell computers. They stand for creativity, individuality, and challenging the status quo. Apple Computer, right? Law number two, Lioness law number 2 of building an empire or building a movement is community. Right? You got to have someone follow the movement. So belief attracts people, but community keeps them. Raving fans will carry your message farther than you could ever carry it alone, right? How important is that? Think about CrossFit. People don't just work out there, they belong. Like CrossFit's almost like a cult, like in a good way. I'm not knocking CrossFit. I should probably become a member of CrossFit. Law number 3 is momentum. When your community is activated, momentum becomes a force of nature. It creates urgency, it creates energy, visibility, and energy and visibility that money can't buy. Think of the Stanley Cup race. Remember, guys, in fact, here's one right here. Oh, this is a Yeti, but I have a Stanley. Hold on. Oh, dang it. I took it out of my briefcase. Anyways, this is the Yeti Cup, the Stanley Cup. Anyways, but this, when they got hot, right? And so Stanley didn't even have to go out and do any advertising. People got onto social media. It's like, I got my Stanley Cup, I got a pink one, I got a red one. Target picked them up. All these causes picked them up. And Stanley didn't have to do anything other than just build cups. And the movement sold it. The momentum sold it. So when your community is activating, momentum becomes a force of nature. It creates urgency, energy, and visibility that a product that money can't buy. And of course, think of the Stanley Cup race. Now, law number 4, there's only 4 laws. Law number 4 is monetization. If your movement is not financially sustainable, it will fade. Monetization doesn't cheapen the mission, it fuels it. And I will tell you this, and if you know me personally, or if you work with me personally, and people bring me ideas all the time. Lisa, will you pitch this to Grant? Lisa, what do you think? Will you do this? Will you do that? I mean, like if I had $1 for every time someone wants to have a meeting with me about something. But if you know me, you know the first thing I say to you, the very first thing I say to you is, how are you going to monetize it? How are you going to monetize it? That's a great idea. That's a great movement. I get it, Mary. You want to save the world. I'm good with it. I want to save the world too, but how are you going to monetize it? And it's not monetize it necessarily because you've got to put money in your pocket. That's how you're going to pay your bills. But you've got to monetize the movement. Like, you've got to have money to go out there. You've got to have money to get on the stage. You've got to have money to travel. You've got to have money to build a movement. So what will monetize your movement? Will it be your product? Will it be your speaking? Will it be your people out there? I don't know. But you've got to figure out a monetization to your movement. Okay. I've got so many friends out there, and I love you so much, and you're world changers, and that's why I love you, and that's why I'm your friend, and that's why I hang out with you. They're like, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go do that. And I'm like, I love it. Let's go. Let's save the babies. Let's save the children. Let's save the whales. Let's save everything. But how are you going to pay for it? Because if you can't pay for it, you can't build a movement. How do you monetize it? So here's the truth. An empire isn't just made of stone, steel, or sales. It's made of people. Okay, so think about your movement and think about an empire, right? My girl, Elena Cardone. And you know what's funny? The book that I wrote, it's been 8 years ago. The book never, ever got published. And so, but the manuscript is still there, but it was Build a Movement, Build an Empire. And that was before I had ever gotten into the empire business, Elena Cardone. But the truth is, an empire isn't just made. So without a tribe, a loyal group who carries your message when you're not in the room, your movement will stall before it ever reaches its potential. So think about that. You want to go out and you want to save the whales. You want to save the babies. You want to save the kids. You want to save the teachers. I don't know what it is, but if you can't get people out there to spread the message with you and for you, you are a party of one. You need to be a party of millions. So how do you inspire people? And again, I'm going to keep this on your business, okay? How do you inspire people to spread the word about your business? And we're going to talk about that. Your tribe is your amplifier. They multiply your message. They create the kind of momentum that turns your mission into a movement that people can't ignore. See, whatever you get behind, it can't just be you. Right? Like, if you love the whales, like I love the whales so much, I don't want anything to happen to the whales. Okay, cool. That's awesome. But you as one person cannot save a whale. Like, I think whales are gorgeous. Like, I used to live out in California, and you could see this, and maybe it wasn't whales we'd see. It was just the seals, but they were beautiful animals. And I would just be distraught thinking about people clubbing them and hurting them. Like, right? Like, I'm not even, but it was like, these are beautiful animals, but like, me alone could not save, the whales or the seals. It was really the seals out in Northern California. So you have to get on there, and you have to get other people to want to save the seals. You got to walk up and down the beach, and you got to give flyers, and you got to talk to people, and you got to say, hey, this is information that I've got, that I know this is happening to the seals. Will you get behind me? Will you sign this? Will you give me some money? Will you show up at a meeting to save the seals, right? Like, a movement in whether it's saving the seals or saving your business or selling your product or service, is that you've got to get the people on the same page with the same passion that you've got. And that ain't easy, people. That is not easy. And then there are brands and movements that have mastered this art so well. So let me talk about a few of the brands and the movements, because these are going to, like, most of you probably do business with these companies. Probably the biggest one that I've ever seen, that I've studied a lot, is Apple Computer. In 1976 in Cupertino, California, that was right down the street from me when I grew up, two college dropouts, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, are in a small garage. They're broke, but burning with conviction. At the time, computers were massive, expensive machines used by governments and corporations, not just ordinary people. Their belief, this was the initial belief that fueled the Apple movement, the Apple empire. Okay, like, this thing's not a movement anymore, it's an empire. Their belief is that technology should be for everyone, beautiful, intuitive, and empowering. Okay, so from that one belief, here they go. That belief guided every decision the first Apple computer sorry, that belief guided every decision. The first Apple computer wasn't just wires and microchips. It was an invitation to a whole new kind of life where technology served the human, not the other way around. And where I find interesting, and you guys can find this on YouTube, it's out there somewhere, but there is a meeting where Wozniak is, or Jobs, one of them, is literally holding up like Gen 1 Apple phone. And he says, it's chilling. He says, my goal is that this piece of hardware will someday run your entire world. Hello. Can we do anything without our phones? If you're gone or disconnected from your phone for 5 minutes, are you not absolutely panicked and freaked out? Yesterday, I was out doing my walk, and it starts raining, pouring, whatever, and my phone gets wet, which I kind of put it under to keep it dry. But then I went to charge it in my car later that afternoon, and like I put the charger thing, says your phone is wet, disengage immediately, or your phone will blow up. I was like, oh my god, my phone blows up. Like I was literally driving down the street, blowing into my phone to dry it out so I could charge it. Like they created something. So, they've always stuck to their original belief that technology is for everyone, beautiful, intuitive, and empowering. And those words that Wozniak or Jobs, I don't remember who it was on the video, but they said, like, that prophecy that was spoken into the future, or spoken out to their audience at the time, which was no social media, it was just a thing he was speaking at, it came true. So what are you going to do with your business? What are you going to do with your product or your service? Are you going to speak, in the words of my dear friend Elena Cardone, your future self? What is the future of your business? What is the future for you? What does your future self look like? What does your business look like 5 years from now? Because you have to start walking that out today. You have to start walking out today the future self, or the future business, or the business that you intend to have 5 years from now. You have to start walking it and living it today. Today. You have to do what Jobs or Wozniak, whoever, one of them was on stage with that phone and said, this will be the piece of hardware that will run the world and your world. Now, it doesn't do it yet, but it will. And boy, does it ever, right? What are those future predictions you're going to make for yourself, your product, or your business? Okay. Apple became a movement because number one was their belief. They challenged the status quo and made the user the hero. You got to make the user the hero in a story, okay? Whether it's your story, right? Who's the user? Who's your client? Who do you serve? They're the hero, not you, not the product or the service. You have to build a community. So these are our 4 lioness laws, right? So I took this down to how the lioness laws work into these other companies. And of course, you guys know when I did this speech live, like I knew it backward and forward, upside down. It's been a few weeks since I did it. I thought, I've got to use this again for my community because it was a big hit at 10X Ladies, but it's really important for the success and viability of your businesses. The community is maybe, I know it was, I'm not sure if it still is, but it was called the I am a Mac identity, which made customers feel seen, right? People that are in your community, people that you're putting into your empire, or that you're trying to build a movement with, like there's something to, I see you. Like, right? Like it can't be just Queen Lisa out there trying to build her movement. It has to be that I see you and I'm doing this for you. I'm the leader of the movement, but my movement is for you. It's for humanity. It's for your business. It's for the product or whatever, right? So your clients have to be seen. The momentum product launches became cultural events. Think about the fact that people will stand outside at the Apple store. When there's a new phone that's launching, they will stand outside all night long to get the phone that will be on the shelf in 24 hours that they could walk in and get. But they want to be part of it. They want to be part of the launch. They want to say, I got the first one that I stood in line all night long. Like, guys, it's nuts. But it's not nuts. It's a movement. It's a movement. And then, of course, monetization, law number 4 for Lioness. And have you ever seen an Apple phone on sale? Mm-mm. So I put here, they rarely discount, value is baked in, and people will gladly pay. You ain't getting an Apple. There is no Black Friday sale on your Apple phone. And then they're gonna knock you out in about 2 years, every 2 years, so that you have to go buy another one. It's a movement. It's the greatest business model in the world if you're on that side of the house. So owning an iPhone isn't just a phone, it's saying who you are. And for all you Android users out there, I don't know what to say. I don't think Android's a movement, but Apple is. One more I'm going to give you guys from a business standpoint is Nike. This one I was really interesting when I did the research for my speech, but it was in 1960s in Eugene, Oregon. Track coach Bill Bowerman is obsessed with speed. One day he pours melted rubber into his wife's waffle iron and creates a new kind of running sole. Put some hearts or something in the comments if you know that story. It was grip without weight. That crazy kitchen experiment becomes the Nike innovation. Bowerman teams up with his former runner, Phil Knight, selling shoes from the trunk of a car under the name Blue Ribbon Sports, later renamed Nike, after the goddess of victory. Their belief, if you have a body, you're an athlete. Now, when you go out with something like that, if you have a body, you're an athlete, you're building a movement. That single statement shattered elitism and it democratized performance. It told the world you belong. Nike became a movement because of law number one, belief, permission to self-identify as an athlete. So when you put on Nike shoes, now I'm a runner, okay? That's what people believe. That's building a movement. Community. Nike's got run clubs, apps, and events. The momentum was hero casting. Think about MJ, Serena, and everyday runners, right? Those are the heroes in the story. And the monetization is premium pricing because aspiration plus identity equals value. So do you have a product or service that deserves premium pricing? Have you built have you built the momentum for aspirational pricing? Have you built the momentum for your product or service that people are willing to spend more money for? You know, I think about our business, the real estate business. You know, are there brokers that are cheaper than us? Yeah, probably, but they're not going to get what we give. Right? You get what you pay for, but you have to create that value. And that has to be because the product is successful. It helps you be better, all of that. So Nike doesn't just sell shoes. I love this. And this is Nike, not me. Nike doesn't just sell shoes. They sell the courage to start. God, don't you all want to go buy Nike shoes now? Because that's going to give me the courage to start. Now I get to identify as an athlete. And I get to do this. And my Nike shoes are so cool, right? Like all the above. And I'm not going to get into all of these because we'll run out of time. Tom's shoes, that's another one. You know, Blake Kowski had gone to Argentina to do the show, the American Race. Was it the Amazing Race? It was the Amazing Race. And he'd seen children in Argentina that didn't have any shoes on, and he had found out that they could not go to school because they didn't have any shoes. Now, this guy was not in the shoe business, but he wanted to find a way to fund children around the world who couldn't go to school because they didn't have any shoes. So what did he do? He started a shoe company, Tom Shoes, and then did the one-for-one model. You buy a pair, they give a pair. Now, I'm not, I don't care for how Tom's shoes look, but I buy a pair just so I know that a child's going to get a pair of shoes to be able to go to school, right? So, you know, do you have a charity component to your business? Do you have something bigger than, or is there something out there you're thinking, God, I want to fund this? I want to fund this. You know, is there a product or service that you could create that would fund a movement, right? Like, so I think Tom's is probably one of the best when it comes to funding a movement. I mean, all these children are getting shoes. If they get shoes, that means it changes their life. It changes their life because they can go to school. If they go to school, they can get an education. They get an education, they can come out of poverty. Like, right? Like you can go down that road and down and down and down. So it's super important. Do you have a product or service that does that, that can do that, that has the possibility of doing that? That's all I want from this today. It's just to make you think, right? The Rise and Roar Mastermind is to help you think about what is possible. Then, of course, there was Whole Foods, which in Austin, Texas, we call Whole Paychecks. And that was another great movement, but their mission was to nourish people and the planet. And they became a movement because law number one, their belief, healthy food should be accessible. Law number two, community, educating customers builds loyalty. Law number three, momentum. Wellness became a cultural wave. And monetization turned shopping into a premium experience. And here's the big one. Okay, this thing was founded in Austin, Texas in 1978 for $45,000. It opened as a natural food store. They lived above it. They had no shower, and they were bathing from a hose from a dishwasher below. Okay, movement, right? They did all this. They said, we're gonna be the food source for people. We're gonna get people healthy again. Blah 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 blah. Okay, let's fast forward to 2017. Amazon bought them for $13.7 billion. 1978, $45,000 investment with a heart and a passion, and they were going to build this healthy food craze. And in 2017, $13.7 billion. Do you have a company, a product, or a service that if you could get a movement behind, if you could come up or create, and you have to follow the 4 lioness laws. You got to follow the 4 laws, okay? Belief, community, momentum, and monetization. Do you have that? You just don't know it. And then I am going to talk about, real quick, and this one I got some pushback on it, 10X ladies. I had some people standing and cheering, and I had some people that just went stone quiet on it, love me or hate me, but if you follow me, you know me. Agree or disagree. Make America Great Again became one of the greatest potent political brands in modern history. 4 things. Belief, a promise to restore what many felt was lost. Community, hats, rallies, language, and instant belonging. Momentum, short, repeatable messages. Make America Great Again. And monetization, merchandise, help fuel the mission. There was so much money made on merch that was given back into the campaign. I'll get off of that now. And then there's the health revolution of MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. And so anyways, with MAHA, let's just go down that road. Health isn't just a goal, it's an identity. MAHA says we will not settle for less than our best selves. I'll lose people on that one too. They're mad. But so Apple, Nike, Tom's, Whole Foods, MAGA, MAHA, different industries, different messages, same belief. Community, belief, community, momentum, monetization. And that's exactly what Elena and I are building with the Lioness movement inside one of the most competitive arenas on earth, which is real estate. And, you guys know that if you want to get into real estate, we'd love to talk to you about it. I'm going to tell you now what to do about all your other businesses, but I have to give us a little, plug. We've got the lionessroom.com/join. If you are in real estate, I don't care what brokerage you're with, who you're with, whatever. We want to invite you to join. It's just a fun community we have. There's no soliciting inside it. It's just, we kind of come together with shared beliefs and things like that. But, so now you're saying to me, okay, great. I'm not in real estate. I understand all these companies built a movement, blah, blah, blah. How do I do it, Lisa? How do I do it? You've been talking for 32 minutes and 54 seconds. And what about me? I get it. Here it comes. Number 1, you've got to lead with a mission bigger than money. What is your mission? I know if you follow me, you're somebody who's probably pretty mission driven. You're somebody who wakes up in the morning and thinks, I want the world to be a better place. But now I want you to take that mission into your business. People don't buy what you sell. They buy why you sell it. Write that down if you're taking notes. And I know lots of people are going to catch this on the replay. People don't buy what you sell. They buy why you sell it. Okay, what's your why? Why do you do what you do? And why should somebody buy from you? Build a business that stands for something, whether it's empowerment, innovation, faith, or freedom. You got to tell people where you stand. And I'll tell you, we live in a world of cancel culture. And you guys know I'm pretty, I say what I say. And do I lose people? Absolutely. I lose people. It's okay. But you know what? I do believe I gain more than I lose. And that's okay. And I think I've always thought it's okay to tell people where you stand, as long as there's no hate in your heart. I don't like people that are hateful and they're like, if you don't believe what I believe, you're dumb. Like, I'm not into that. That's not cool. But I'm very okay with putting out there what I believe and what I stand for. And so I'm going to tell you, if you want to build a movement within your business, you're going to have to get some courage. And you're going to have to tell people what you believe and what you stand for. And that doesn't mean you have to go down a political road if that's not your business product. Okay. But if you stand for, like, let's say you're in water business and you stand for a clean environment and you sell clean water to people, bottled water, whatever that looks like, well, you're going to have to make a stand, and you're going to have to appeal to the people that people care about the clean bottled water. Not everybody wants to pay $2 for a bottle of water. I do, just for the record. I'm like, I go to restaurants, they're like, would you like to have tap water or a bottle? I'm like, I don't care what that bottle of water costs. Bring me the bottle. And guess what? They're probably filling the bottle with the tap. That's what my husband tells me all the time. I don't care. It's a mental thing for me. I need a bottle of water, and I know I'm going to pay for it, but a lot of people don't want to. Okay. So anyways, but all of that being said is that your business has got to stand for something, whatever that looks like. And then you've got to be able to communicate what your business stands for, whether it's empowerment, innovation, faith, or freedom. I've already said that. Your mission should invoke emotion and action. So think about apples. Apples is think different. Or Tom's shoes is the 1-for-1 model. Buy one, we give one. Buy one, give one, right? Like, what does that look like for you? Okay. Your mission should invoke emotion and action. Already said that. And I think about the one that we built at Fiat of Austin. It was, we didn't just sell cars. I sold a movement for independence and style. I sold the movement that we were going to help women make better buying decisions, and that we were going to bring people into the industry that would not normally be in an industry. I think the automotive industry is amazing, and I think there's great opportunities for advancement, and it's not necessarily tied to a college degree. It's just tied to hustle in your muscle and love in your heart. Number 2, you've got to speak directly to your tribe, meaning you've got to get crystal clear on who you serve and why it matters. Like, why does somebody do business with you? I'm going to tell you my why in real estate is that, when I talk to people, I'm like, because I'm going to show you how to build generational wealth in real estate. Like, I'm not just going to sell you a house and move on. If you want to take the time to listen to me, I will show you how to build generational wealth. And I believe, now what I believe and you believe, that's okay. But you're sitting in front of me. You're the one that called the meeting. So I get to tell you what I believe. Now take notes on the things I say, because that's what you're going to say to your people. When somebody calls you to sit down with you, they've done the research. We live in a research-rich society. They know who you are pretty much and where you're at. I promise you. But they've called you to the meeting. When they called you to the meeting, you have permission to say, this is what I believe. This is why I do what I do. And this is the truth. I do what I do because I want to see women build generational wealth in real estate. I help a lot of men. I help a lot of everybody. But my goal is because I see women on the sidelines. I know more billionaire men than I know billionaire women. I know several billionaire men, actually, from my time over the years. And I only know one billionaire woman, like, really well, and that would be Elena Cardone. And so it gets down to, you have got to have the courage to stand behind your movement. Like, you can't be a silent movement or it never moves. There's agents that have come into my organization over the years, and they're like, well, I really don't want to bombard my social media or tell my friends what I do. I'm like, okay, you're a silent agent, a secret agent. If people don't know what you do, they're not going to do business with you. And my friend Grant Cardone says, if they don't know you, they can't flow you. Well, if they don't know your movement and what you stand for, what you're trying to build, because you don't have the courage to come out and say it because you might offend somebody. And let me tell you, I will promise you this, you will offend people. You'll offend them. I get notes. I get this. I get that. Like, I can't believe you just said that about Trump. Blah, 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 blah. I hate you. Okay, but you're still watching me. Don't hate me. I don't hate you. Thanks for the note, but do you think what you're going to say to me is going to change who I am and what I stand for? Absolutely not. But thanks for the note. I don't know why you're listening to me. I just don't get it. But it's okay. But you will lose people. I probably just lost somebody right now. It's okay. It is what it is. But do whatever you do without hate in your heart. Do whatever you do from with love, from strength, from conviction, from being authentic, from being for you doing you for what you believe. And I'm telling you, people may not like it, but they'll respect it. Speak directly to your tribe. Okay, I think I already said that. So talking points. I get off on these things. When I go speak, I try to stay on script, right? Talking points. Get crystal clear on who you are and who you serve. I did that. Movements grow when people feel seen and understood. Remember, your people have got to feel seen. Like, what you do is for them, not for you. Don't try to be everything to everyone. This is a biggie, people, okay? And I had a hard time with this one. I wanted everyone to like me. I wanted everyone to do that. You're not going to be. Don't try to be everything to everyone. Speak boldly to your people, which is your tribe, your movement, your followers. and they will show up for you. And God, I know that's true. I know that's true. And I see it working so heavily in the 10X movement. You guys know I'm very involved in the 10X ladies movement with Elena. I am her little partner in crime on it. I mean, she owns it, but I'm right there on everything with her, and we do all these things together. And we have our people. We are who we are. And there are people that won't join the movement. There are people that won't show up when we have speakers. Elena tends to go with very conservative speakers. She tends to go with, she doesn't tend to, she just does. It's her stage, it's her party, it's her show. These are her, these are the people she believes fuel her movement and her audience, right? So there are people that were like, I would never show up at 10X Ladies event. I'd never show up at GrowthCon, because of Grant Cardone, Okay, well then don't come. It's okay. It's cool. We still have love in our heart for you. We still have love in our heart for you. It's all good. Go find somewhere where you belong, you're happy, and you're thriving. That's all we want. Use language, content, and offers that reflect their values and aspirations. Okay, guys, their values and aspirations. Okay? Empower others. Number 3 is to empower others to be the heroes as you're building your movement, your talking points. A movement isn't about you. Lisa doesn't just need to save the whales. Lisa wants everybody to save the whales. I want everybody who lives in that town or by that beach to save the whales. So I've got to put the messaging out to everybody. This isn't my movement. This isn't me saving the whales. This is me getting everybody else to join me in helping to save the whales. And who's the hero? The hero is the whale or the seal. It's not me, because I put the movement together. Okay, makes sense? Give your customers, clients, and team members a role in the story, right? It can't just be about you. You have to bring everybody into the story. You got to give them power. You've got to empower them. You've got to give them a job. You've got to, you have to do that with your employees. Okay. I used to tell my employees, like, I have the privilege, and I still, to this day, I have the privilege of leading the #1 team in America. I have the privilege of leading 900 amazing real estate agents who sell over $1.5 billion of real estate every year. I don't do it. I do my fair share of it, but I don't do it. I just have the privilege to lead some of the greatest people on planet Earth. And as you're trying to build a movement and you're trying to get people behind it, like, if you are starting the movement within your business or your community or whatever that looks like, you take the job as the leader. You own that. Like, I am the leader of this. This is what I do. Okay. But I can't do it without you. And every one of you need to have a story. You need to have a responsibility. I need you to help broadcast the message. I need you to evangelize the message, right? I could talk about this for years, guys, and I'm over time, and I'm sorry. And I see some are jumping on, some are popping off. I get it. It might have been the MAGA thing. I don't know. You never know with me. But just know this, like, I know every one of you has a movement inside of you. Every one of you has greatness inside of you. And I know I see so many people that hold back because they're so afraid to put out there what their convictions are, because they're so afraid they're going to offend Aunt Susie or Cousin Joe or the neighbor across the street or whatever. And like, and I just believe this, and I hope that all of you understand this. If you go out and you do big things with love in your heart, okay, with love in your heart, like, just because someone doesn't buy into your movement, you don't need to hate them. You don't need to destroy them on social media. You just know that they're not your people. Cool. Wish them well, have love in your heart, and keep moving forward. Because what I will tell you is you will find your people. You will find your diehard fans. And I know with 10X Ladies and with the Lioness and all the things we have done, we have got our diehard fans. We do. They love us. And there's a whole nother segment that probably hate us, and that's okay. We have no hate. It's no big deal. And Megyn Kelly said this at GrowthCon 2 years ago to Grant, and it was really, really profound to me. And it was something like, I was like, But when you're in church sometimes and your pastor says something, you're like, oh God, that was just for me. Well, probably was. Like every week I'm like, really, God? Wow. Okay. One more time, you just examined me. Anyways, but that being said, Megyn Kelly said that when she was in New York during COVID, she had taken the several times, and all of a sudden she had this autoimmune disease. And so anyways, I'm not getting into the efficacy of all of that, but what I'm saying to you is that she was so pro a lot of things back during the height of COVID. And when she got new information, she started making different decisions. And she said, that's what's wrong with America today, is that when, people are so die hard into their decisions, into their opinions, that when they get new information, they don't know how to pivot and pivot gracefully. And when you've got a movement, I'm going to tell you this, like, watch my lips as I tell you this. When you're starting a movement, okay, you may not be right. I can't tell you how many times over the last 5 years we've had to pivot a few things, pivot a few opinions, pivot a few ideas, pivot a few things that we thought were like, oh, Elaine and I are like, this is die hard, this is how it's going to go, we're going to crush it, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden we look up and it's like, crickets, crickets, right? Like, people weren't buying into what we were saying about it. So when we did the pivot and we got new information and then brought it into a different fashion to our community, people were like, oh my God, I love this. And it was like, it was the same idea. It was just restructured into, okay, it was the same idea, it was the same premise, but it was restructured into something that our community could hear. So you might have the greatest idea in the world and it's really super viable, but they can't hear it. So you got to look at how to restructure that, how to restructure the word tracks to that. So think about that too. So that's empowering others to be the hero and celebrate the wins publicly and let them share their testimonies. Number 4, show up consistently with bold messaging. Movements require repetition, conviction, and visibility. Be the loudest, most consistent voice in your niche. Take a stand, even if it's polarizing. I know about that. You don't build empires by being lukewarm. The Bible says, Jesus says, you're either hot or cold. You can't be lukewarm, okay? So you can't be lukewarm on what you're doing and why you're doing it. Okay, got to be hot, you got to be cold, you got to be hot. You can't be lukewarm. You'll never be successful in business if you are lukewarm about your product, your service, or even yourself. You got to take a stand. It's hard. It hurts sometimes. People will hurt your feelings. People hate on you. People send you, if I had $1 for every inbox people have sent me, like, oh my God, I will get them off of this today. I'll get them off of this today. Somebody's going to watch it and go, oh my God, did you really have to mention MAGA? Did you really have to do that? Yeah, I did. I mean, love Trump or hate him. MAGA put him in office, right? The movement did, okay? I don't care if you hate the movement. You got to respect, what is it? Hate the game, but you love the player or whatever. I don't know. But, obviously, you may hate the players in the game when it comes to the MAGA movement, but you got to respect the game. The game won an election. Love it or hate it, okay? It was a movement. That's all I'm trying to say here. Number 5 is create community around your cause. Give people a place to connect, grow, and belong. Start a Facebook page, start a newsletter, have meetups at your office. I don't know, right? But these are all fuel for thought. Literally the next thing was Facebook groups, events, webinars, and retreats. Movements thrive when people feel part of something bigger than themselves, okay? And I think about like Nike, like the guy built a running shoe the way he did it, but they empowered everybody to run. I mean, running's pretty elite. If you're a runner, like, I'm not a runner. I only run if I'm being chased. Seriously, I go, oh, I'm not built to run. But they make it where it becomes a community. And I see people in these running clubs. I used to see them in Austin, I see them in these running clubs, and they're old and they're young and they're big and they're small and they're this, they're that, and they're all different kinds of people. But Nike gave them permission, empowered them, and said, if you wear our shoes, you're now an athlete. Like, that almost sounds ridiculous, but it worked. Okay? So what is the thing that your product or service does that empowers people to be greater and bigger and do better? You want your company to do well so you can, or to do good so you can do better for your community and your people. So anyways, I know I'm a little all over the map today. That's how I roll, but I want you to think about, I hope that there's something in this that you've taken away, that you're like, it's given you the idea, it has given you the motivation to do more research, okay? to do more research. Put it into chat or Grok or whatever they are, into chat, hey, I've got a bagel business, and I heard, and I'm super interested in building a movement. How would I get everybody in my hometown to want to buy my bagels? Well, it's not because you got the cheapest bagels. It's not because you got the best bagel. Guys, I'm telling you, that doesn't build the movement. It's because if you buy a bagel from the bagel shop, maybe the bagel takes 3 bagels to the teachers at the local elementary school. That's the movement. Now all of a sudden everyone's coming to your bagel shop to buy bagels so that the teachers at the school can get bagels and cream cheese on Fridays. Okay, that's a movement. That's a movement. Because again, the bagel's not the hero. Okay, the bagel's not the hero. The teachers are the heroes. And teachers are heroes. I love teachers, but they're the heroes. The teachers get a treat on Friday because of all the bagels that you, Mr. Consumer, went in and bought from the bagel shop. And now the teachers are the heroes. The bagel, right? So the bagel's a little bit the hero, but the clients are the heroes. The clients are the customers that are going in and going out of their ways. I'm going to go buy bagels today from Joe's Bagel Shop because I know my teachers at my elementary school are going to get 12 bagels for free. I don't know, guys. I can roll this stuff like there's like that, right? I wrote a book about this. I think about it all the time. I think about the importance of movements, and I'll close with this. Again, I'm going to get deep. I'm going to get messages and people will jump off when I bring this one up, but I have to, just have to. I'm Lisa Copeland. That's what I do. Charlie Kirk and Turning Point. When I watched that funeral, that memorial service on Sunday, and I saw 100,000 people between the 2 stadiums, and I don't know how many, it was 10 million downloads. I don't know. It was a lot. Okay. Charlie Kirk will never be forgotten, good or bad. Okay. I love Charlie Kirk. I loved him. I cried my eyes out during that a young man was assassinated at 31 years old. But I will tell you, that man will never die. His body died, but his movement goes on. And how many people I've seen on social media that come to Christ. I am a Christ lover. I'm a Christ follower. And so I absolutely am just like, thank God. Right. And so, what is your movement? What is it you do that is so important that everybody benefits from it? I don't know. This is not even a good wrap up, but I'm just going to say one of the greatest movements I've seen recently is Turning Point. But I think about the good for humanity. Now you're going to agree or disagree with me on this, but guess what? It's my show, so I get to say it. I saw a lot of people give their life to Christ or rededicate their life to Christ. And that in my book is winning. That's a movement that wins. So how do you create a movement that wins in your business? Okay. And those are the things I want you to think about. And hey, if you come up with a great movement and you're just like, Lisa, because of your show, I did this, shoot me an email. I'm going to put it in the comments. I would just love to hear it. I like to be encouraged too when I go out and, it's just Lisa at lisacopeland.com. So easy. But I'd love to just get an email from you about it, right? Like, hey, I heard this today and this is what I'm going to do. And, thanks or don't thanks. And, if you hate me and because I said MAGA and I said Turning Point and all that, save your email. I don't need to see it. Sorry, but love in my heart, but I don't need to see it. Because I believe what I believe and you believe what you believe. And if we can just all have that dialogue on planet Earth, I think it'd be a better place to live. So anyways, I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to have this show on Thursdays at 12 noon Central. I'm doing it on the live platforms now. I was doing this show previously in Zoom, and I was hitting a couple hundred people. Well, I want to hit lots of people. So if you enjoyed this, if you saw value in this, share it out if you would. I appreciate it. Join our lionessroom.com. The world's worth saving, and your business should be profitable. And it's a lot more fun when you've got other people doing it with you. And that's what a movement will do. You will bring around people that believe what you believe, that stand with what you stand for, that love your product, love your service. They love you and they love what you're doing for the people on planet Earth. And they will be the best advertising you will ever have. Love you guys. Bye.